Hello and welcome to another standard video here in the preview event for Through the Omen Paths. Today we're checking out this blue-white Affinity deck, which is an artifact creature deck that got a few upgrades in Through the Omen Paths. One of them is the Giant Craft Helm. In paper, this is the Dr. Octopus's Tentacles, a 1-mana equipment, saying whenever a creature we control with mana value 5 or greater enters, we may attach this equipment for free, giving +4/+4, otherwise it's 5 mana to equip. So the Giant Craft Helm is a cheap artifact, which can then enable some of our Affinity cards, which are these creatures that get a discount for each artifact we control. So if we control 4 or more artifacts, we get to play the Memory Guardian for just a single blue mana, a 3/4 flyer, and because it has mana value 5, if we have any Giant Craft Helms in play, we get to attach those for free, essentially resulting in a 7/8 flyer for potentially just a single blue mana, which is a pretty good deal. And then there's the Valkyrie Aerial Unit as another big Affinity creature with flying, a 5/4. This one will cost at least double blue, but also lets us surveil 2 when it enters, so it can improve our future draw steps. And then another new addition from the latest set is the Iron Spider, aka Fizik Etherium Mechanic, which is reminiscent of Steel Overseer, an artifact creature that can tap to put +1 counters on all your artifact creatures, including itself. This one's a bit pricier, but also much better as a 2/3 with Vigilance, so we get to attack with it while still activating the ability, pumping itself, so it can get in for 3, and we can also maybe keep it back on defense, still activate in the opponent's turn. And then for 2 mana, at any point we can remove 2 +1 counters from among artifacts we control to draw a card. So maybe if the opponent's about to cast a board wipe, we can cash in all of those +1 counters for extra cards so we don't run out of threats. So this card has also been quite good in the archetype, especially when we've got cards like the Tinker's Toad, which generates 2 gnome tokens that are artifacts. So that's 3 artifacts for 3 mana for affinity purposes, and it also provides 2 bodies we can start pumping with Fizik. And then the Emissary Escort from Edge of Eternities also has great synergy with Affinity Flyers, as it gets +X/+O, where X is the greatest mana value among other artifacts we control. So with Guardian, that's +5 power, with Aerial Unit, that's +7 for just 2 mana, so that's also pretty good. And then Oaken Siren is the best version of the various 2-mana artifact creatures that can tap for blue mana to cast artifact spells or activate abilities. So we've seen a bunch of these now in Standard, and yeah, the Siren I think is the best one, since we're not often going to need 2 mana for activated abilities, unless we maybe want to activate Fizik. So I think I do prefer the Siren over the one from Edge of Eternities, since Vigilance lets us attack, maybe chip in some damage, maybe get our speed up with Mendicant Core, and then we can still tap the Sirens for mana, maybe activating Fizik in the opponent's turn as well. And then Mendicant Core can potentially increase our speed, and with max speed we can pay 1 extra mana to make a copy of our artifact spells, so that's also quite the payoff if we can get there. And then I'm also playing 2 copies of the Lava Spur Boots as a way to complement our plan with the Giant Craft Helm and our big Affinity creatures, as we'll be able to play those creatures, equip the Helm for free, and then for just 1 additional mana we can give them 1 extra power, haste, and ward 1, so we can immediately attack, potentially present lethal out of nowhere. And then rounding out the deck, I also have the full set of Voyage Home as another Affinity payoff. So we've got 12 of these total, this one drawing 3 cards and gaining 3 life for potentially just 2 mana, so that's also pretty great. And then the mana base is where things get pretty ugly, I would say, since we're currently still missing a lot of dual lands in Standard that other color pairs have access to. We don't have access to Hallowed Fountain, the fast land rotated out. So blue-white used to be the color pair with the most dual lands, since we even had the Soldier dual land in Standard for a while. Now it's one of the worst. We still have Flood Farm Verge at least as an untapped dual land. Don't want to play the Surveil land, but instead I do have Scene of the Crime as a tapped artifact land that's also Clue, so this will also contribute towards Affinity, and late in the game we can also sacrifice it for 2 mana to draw a card. And then both Starting Town and the Multiversal Passage are kind of necessary evils, just to make sure we have both colors to be able to cast our Mendicant Core and Voyage Home when we need to. Mostly have basic islands. And then I'm also trying one of each of the station lands, which also have excellent synergy specifically in an artifact deck, being able to tap for a blue for each artifact we control, or being able to copy our artifacts and make a legendary version of them can also be pretty good in the grindier matchups. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the play. Our hand is a little slow to get started. Wouldn't be able to play Mendicant if I play Scene of the Crime first, but it does set up Affinity. So I think I still will play my artifact land first. Now I can play the Siren. And then next turn I could go Mendicant, play another artifact land, or I guess with Starting Town, play Mendicant, and then still play Guardian. Well, that's not how I wanted to tap. Not at all. So I wanted to play Mendicant, tapping Starting Town, attack for 1 with Vigilance, get our speed up, and then play Guardian second main. Opponent had to shoot the Sheriff, so I don't know if it would have mattered too much. But yeah, let's not trust the auto-tapper anymore. So, play Boots. Can play a 1-mana Guardian if I play another Scene of the Crime, which seems fine. And then can first hit for 1, so I can also Voyage Home. And this we can cast now. Alright, Giant Craft Helm would have been better if we still had an Affinity creature in hand. Opponents will get to hit us for 5, get to discard a Mayhem card. So, things could be better. My hand's not all that exciting. But at least between the Boots and the Helm, if I draw another Affinity card, we can get the ball rolling. It's gonna be a Siren. Alright, I'll go for Tinker's Totes. Can maybe keep the Guardian back. Just attack with a Siren, play another one. So once again, don't trust the auto-tapper. Yeah, it's got a difficult time with my clues. Could have also considered equipping the Boots onto the Guardian, so it can trade by itself with 5/4. Double block should still be fine. Alright, Legend Rule, get back the Orb Weaver. I can suit up the Helm next turn. Alright, all their creatures are back. So then can equip the Boots, so we have a bit of extra ward. And this is a 2-turn clock in the air. Can still use our Sirens to maybe sack a clue at some points. So we'll just block the 5/4, take 7. can also gain life with a toad for what it's worth. And sure, we'll sack a clue now. Find another siren and a unit. That's what I'm talking about. Can move the helm. Although I think I'll decline and then just move the boots instead. Keep Voyage Home. Could also still draw into it with my clue. But yeah, I think we should have lethal unless our opponent's holding on to an answer here. Alright, GG's. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a promising hand. Got our double equip combo to set up the aerial unit. So I can double artifact on 2, artifact on 3. Set up a hasty unit. Alright, tiny bones making me discard. I might actually get rid of a land, or is it maybe Fizik? Yeah, maybe a land can go. I will need to draw another blue source to cast a unit. So maybe I should just get rid of Fizik. Alright, drew another boots, so... Can maybe discard it if they've got another tiny bones. Now Cecil. A mill for 1, lose a life. Mill another helm, actually would have been a fine draw. And another tiny bones, so goodbye boots, I guess. Adagia I can play. Alright, it's a bit of a waiting game. Wouldn't be able to immediately equip with haste, unfortunately. So I think we actually play the Siren first. So we don't expose the unit to removal. And probably should keep the land in hand in case there's another discard spell. Opponent considering removal on the Siren now. Yep. Okay, then I should probably play the land so I can maybe play a hasty unit next turn. Tersa will discard and draw. So yeah, important turn coming up. Can we finally deploy our unit and get in? If we can present a 2-turn clock, then it doesn't matter if Cecil transforms. Found Fizik. Yeah, that's tough. So I can play the unit but not attack, when I could be attacking for 10 damage. So maybe actually go for Fizik, and then hope they get comfortable and we get them in the air. So we'll pass, can put a counter on itself, so do have a good block on Tersa. Alright, maybe they missed this ability. Cecil transforms, opponent's at 7, so that to a unit. Oh, that's fine. So we should have them here. Tersa's back. Can still block, is just forced to attack. Equip my helm for free. Move the boots. And that's 10 in the air, could make it 11 with another activation, but there we go, sweet. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. This hand is reasonable, can set up Affinity, and then Voyage Home is kind of a payoff to hopefully find more of our creatures. Okay, maybe wait on starting town. And then facing green-white, turn 1 elves, always scary. So, what is our opponent ramping into? A Fate Weaver, so it is a spider deck times 2. Can trade for a Siren. Alright, the Helm could be decent. So this turn, not gonna bother attacking. Just gonna go Toad plus Helm. And then next turn we should be able to Voyage Home pretty cheaply. So Fate Weaver might get sacrificed. Or pumped. Arouse the Swarm. Don't really want to trade and lose our Affinity. Alright, so we'll start with a Voyage Home. And then hope to draw into something. Another Voyage Home. Or I should probably just cast Fizik. Didn't have an attack because I had another reach creature back. So now we can maybe start pumping up our artifacts. So we take 7. A Fate Weaver might get sacrificed, but opponent's gonna wait. Okay, so I want to deploy more artifact creatures, pump them up. Might prefer that over Voyage Home, even though we could maybe equip the Helm if we find an Affinity card. So let's do that. Can attack for 2 with the Siren if we pump. Or just for 1 and then tap it to cast another Siren. Probably makes more sense. This has Vigilance, although, let's see, I guess it can only sack this as a sorcery. Yeah, I think I still wait on attacking because it could flash something in to set up an ambush. Get my speed up at least. Play Siren and then pass. Can pump at instant speed. So now we can line up some better blocks. Spinner will give the opponent creatures in return. So now sacking a Fate Weaver can essentially draw them 2 creatures. And yeah, reach is good against our plan of flying over with a Helm, so we do want to set up some trades now. This only triggers off non-tokens, so we should have a decent block. Can maybe block with Mendicant instead of Fizik, just in case. That works. Finds a web creature, so they could pick up an elves to cast it. At least that one doesn't have reach. Alright, Voyage Home for starters. And a backup Fizik. Can also draw with the 2-mana ability. Don't hate getting Uthros going. So for now, don't have any amazing attacks outside of maybe Mendicant, which I guess we have a backup. So sure, that can get in. Maybe trade for a Fate Weaver. Opponent's gonna take it. Do I pump in that case? Sure. Get my speed up. And then still down to play Uthros. Although I don't think I'm stationing since I want my creatures back. But yeah, I'll just pass and then maybe draw some cards end of turn. Could also equip Helm, but then I would have to tap most of my team down. Can also gain 3 at the cost of 1 life. So we have some plays. No attack from our opponents. End of turn, we'll start drawing. Mendicant is large enough, so can remove 2 counters here. I'll remove 2 counters from my 1/1 token, perhaps. And from a Siren. Yeah, that's a lot of card advantage. Now we finally found our Affinity creatures, which can equip the Helm, can give them haste, but can also look into increasing our speed for Mendicant. Yeah, I guess we start by playing out some creatures in case we need to activate Fizik. Although then I maybe miss out on the doubling of Mendicants, if we can get to max speed. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Could also voyage home and then maybe find the boots for haste. Could also fully station Uthros to make 1,000,000 mana, to be fair. Yeah, that's also a good plan. So I need 5 more power. Maybe should have tapped this first. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Sure, we'll activate this now. Station. Maybe just tapping Mendicant at this point, or do I still try and attack? Alright, fine, let's try and attack. So this should have at least 1 flyer connecting. Can also remove counters from a creature that's about to die. But those trades look fine to me. Alright, so we'll tap creatures that are about to die. Activate Fizik. This is gonna trade anyways. And this is gonna die anyways. And then I can let damage happen. So we get to max speed. Then I want to play Mendicant. Can use that to fully station Uthros. And then white mana is kind of our bottleneck now. So can play another artifact first. Make 8 mana. Play the units and then maybe draw with Voyage Home. Get double units. Can move the Helm. We're having fun. Another unit can be bad. And don't need the tote. So now we can Voyage Home. Cast another unit. Copy that as well. Maybe play Helm, copy that. Should have just enough mana. Alright, this is pretty ridiculous. But that's why the one of Uthros can be worth it. Did I maybe not tap the Siren? Yeah, I guess I should have tapped the Siren here, so I didn't get to copy the unit. But that's alright. And I'll keep the boots. Alright. And the turn. So yeah, if we just use Siren to cast the unit, I'll still have the 1 mana to copy it. But I think we'll be fine. Opponent empties their hand. Alright, we'll just activate here and turn the team sideways. Don't think I've missed anything. Alright, sweet. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. And what do we think of our hand? It's keepable, nothing exciting. But got a few options on 2. Facing black-white. Okay, so now I'm probably gonna play Fizik on 3. So then I guess I want to get the Escort in play. So then it'll be quite large once we deploy the Guardian. Alright, I've got another Fizik if they destroy the first one, which seems likely. Alright, opponent flashing in Basil to tap down the Escort. That's fine. And now Seamrip can exile the Escort. And an Instructor is next. Alright, so can I double spell? I should be able to. Mendicant into... Never mind, I guess I'll still be 1 short. Well, in that case, do we still play Mendicant? I think I do. I'll be able to play Memory Guardian more easily later. And then we can activate at any point. So this will grow up to a 3/4. They could still double block, so I'm not going to attack. Could also immediately draw a card for 2 mana. Alright, now the Pixie and goes for Instructor. And get some extra counters. Alright. With the attack here is interesting. I guess I could double block, let them choose what to remove. Opponent had a Kirin. That's fine. So they get to pick up the Loudmouth once again. And I'll just keep the +1 counters on my creatures for now. I can play the Boots for 1. And then Guardian equip Boots, looks good. And we can get busy. Yeah, seeing the Iron Spider do some nice work. Double block's not quite gonna work out here. Maybe they have a sweeper. Instructor's back. Okay, we'll draw some cards. And then I cannot quite play the aerial unit, so we'll just get in, bump the team, and then I can maybe draw a card. A Loudmouth is back. Maybe slightly mistimed. It's gonna force issue. Opponent's gonna have to chump. And this is still 11 going through. Alright, sweet. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. This hand has some good early Affinity enablers, but we don't have any payoffs, so I don't think I can keep. This is a bit better. So, turn 1, I can play Helm, or I can play Tapped Scene. Turn 2, Siren. Turn 3, I can double spell. And then Guardian can immediately equip the Helm. So, maybe actually get rid of the passage here. Could potentially go poorly if our opponent's got a ton of removal. 2-3 Death Touch we can sort of ignore. So red-black, kind of aggro looking. Fear of missing out, could also be Reanimator. Just discarding a land for now. Alright, so can cast Helm, which is kind of free when it comes to Affinity. And then play Guardian, which can immediately suit it up. Or I can go for an Escort, but then I cannot play the Guardian this turn. So yeah, I kind of like the Helm into Guardian sequence. Make sure to hit for 1. Even though it might speed up the process of Cecil transforming. So had I drawn a land here, I would have been able to pretty much cast everything. But we still have a 7-8 flyer. If they remove it, we'll have another, even larger one coming up. So don't hate my spot. And now Ruzik. Starting town will enter tapped, even though it's my 3rd land since more than 3 turns have passed. But can still go for an Escort into another Guardian, which looks fine. And we can move the Helm, so we have a bigger creature on defense. Alright, so opponent's facing multiple lethal flyers. All thanks to one dorky looking Helm. Tiny Bones will get my last card, sadly. So if they still have removal for Guardian, I wouldn't be able to move the Helm. And yeah, Trajectory with Void enabled will do exactly that. All-out attack, so Cecil would transform, but that also leaves him dead to my flyers. So I guess I'll just block the Fear. So they would need another answer for the Guardian, and Slasher's not it. Alright, so we still got there in the end. Sweet. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a keepable hand. I guess I'm actually missing blue mana, so I might struggle to cast most of my spells. But once we get one creature down, we can use Scene for fixing. And most of the lands I draw will produce blue. Mendicant, not the best combo with Scene of the Crime, since if we play this we won't be able to cast Mendicant until later. But still gonna run it out for Affinity. Alright, Adagia, another white source. Still probably worth playing. Would only get punished if I draw planes, because then having Virgin play would produce blue mana. Opponent fetches Swamp. And blue-black. We'll probably have answers to Fizik. And the Terminus, so opponent's ramping. Alright, found our blue mana. So don't have to play Fizik, but it still seems like the more efficient play. And if we get to untap with it, that would be awesome. Would be able to play Escort into Guardian at the very least. Maybe even Escort plus Mendicant. Alright, opponent setting up with their Looter, but they still have 2 mana with the Terminus. So could still see removal. Alright, get to untap. I guess I can start with the Escort and Mendicant line. Alright, opponent had a bitter triumph. So I can activate, but I'm not going to be able to draw cards with it, so that's dead. Can only station as a sorcery, so couldn't station a response either. Yeah, was too good to be true. Can station now, however, since we can block anyway. And then next turn the Escort will hit pretty hard once we deploy our 5 mana artifact. Can fully station Adagia, which is actually pretty good in this deck, where we can copy our artifacts. Opponent missing red to transform Goben, so they might have other plans. Chart a course before attacking, so they actively want to discard. Discards another Chart a course. Now attacks. So they get to connive, maybe pick up a +1 counter. Discarding a Whale of the Forgotten. And now removal with the house Grows Hungry. Takes out the Escort. Alright, still gonna play Guardian into another Guardian. Attack you for 4, and then fully station. Get my speed up. So if I don't have anything else going on, 4 mana to copy an artifact. We'll make it legendary. And yeah, I guess I'll lose 3. Land could still be useful. Take 2. And our opponent's gonna wipe the board, sadly. Well, that makes our Adagia less impressive. Can still activate it to copy Scene of the Crime. Or I can just sack Scene of the Crime to draw. I don't actually hate copying it here, in case we fail to draw something exciting for the next turn. So then I want to sacrifice the legendary clue first. Find the helm. Can copy the helm as well. But yeah, let's start by sacking the clue. Find another Guardian. Alright, so can essentially play the helm for free. If I cast a Guardian, I wouldn't be able to activate Adagia. So I think I actually do this, because they're likely to have removal in hand. So might as well take it slow. Could also once again copy Scene of the Crime, but Now we can make every top deck creature lethal. I guess it was already kind of true with a single helm. But yeah, ideally they tap out so I can Guardian, copy Guardian. So a single spot removal isn't that bad. Alright, opponent's gonna run out the house without any targets, just to maybe get to chapter 2. They do still have 2 mana untapped, however. So can I go Siren, Guardian for 1 mana, and then I guess I'm a little short of Adagia. Can Adagia, Scene of the Crime, play this for 1? I guess that's reasonable. Equip the 2 helms. That does not look like they had instant speed removal. Can lose 3 life. Opponent discarding a Cactuar, I see. So this is a Reanimator deck with Arden. And they have another house. Destroy Guardian. Alright, so I need to play Siren, copy it, and then take it from there. Play Helm. And then next turn I can maybe equip. Don't care about my graveyard. They can eventually harness to get their Cactuar back, but that's probably going to be too slow. But they might have other ways. Zombify Cactuar. Alright, so they should be dead now. Can equip a Helm onto a Siren. Attack for, I guess it's only 6. Can play the units and equip all the helms onto it. But yeah, I guess we're a little shy. Can still sack my clue. Did not mean to move that helm. And then Voyage Home is a good draw. Alright, pass the turn. And what did they draw? A single Siren's lethal. Guess we can trade for a unit. One unit for another. And then I guess I'll keep my clue token, Voyage Home, and then we can attack for the win. Alright, sweet. So we got to see this blue-white Affinity deck in action, and it definitely exceeded my expectations. The Helm seems like the perfect tool to give you a quick win condition while enabling your Affinity cards early on. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with how this turned out. The Affinity archetype in Standard is something I've been tinkering with, pun intended, for quite a while now. But I think we finally reached a point where the deck could be playable, and the mana base isn't even very good at the moment, as we're still missing Hallowed Fountain in blue-white, so we've got one of the worst mana bases compared to some of the other 2-color pairs, so that can only improve. Now, of course, the big question, is this deck better than the Synthesizer artifact decks? And the answer's probably no at the moment. But that deck is going to rotate before most of the Affinity pieces in this deck do, so maybe there's a chance we end up with a playable Affinity creature deck and Synthesizer will have rotated by then. But yeah, we'll see. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.